I'm back, and just in time for Easter. I know, I've been gone for a little bit, but I'm here, so that's important. It is, egg video. I promise the egg video. So let's take a look at the history of Roblox egg hunts, starting at the very first and going all the way up to 2020. Now, I know there's a new one currently going on. It's still going on, so that'll be covered in a future video. But we're going to focus on past egg hunts before we eventually get to the current one, so let's go. 2008 began with the extravaganza, or more commonly known as the egg drop, as eggs would drop from the sky on every game on the site, each at a designated time across 3 days at certain hours which were listed by admins. Because of the egg drops happening in every game on the site, people were playing their favorite games while also collecting these new and rare egg hats to customize their characters with. However, many found exploits, since people could make their own game and then build things to capture eggs, such as funnels which would gather all the eggs in one spot. The eggs would spawn randomly across the game's map, with no special designated spot. There were 11 eggs that you could find across the site at their special times, some being more rare than others, with some spawning multiple eggs within the drop hours, others only spawning one. Eggs also had a special way you had to obtain them, like eggs that could bounce away from you, eggs that you had to beat in a game of chess, shrinking eggs, but my favorite is the legendary Egg of Gygax, which is a D20 die, and you could only collect it when it landed on the face 20, making this one of the rarest eggs in the drop. Some of these eggs are classics, such as the legendary Egg of Gygax that I mentioned, or the bombastic Egg of Annihilation. Extravaganza in 2010 was the second egg drop in Roblox's history, and it was a bit of a mess to start. Roblox had a much bigger player base now, and the event only ran for 2 days before it was cancelled by servers being overloaded with players trying to collect these eggs, causing the site to crash on multiple occasions. It's kinda crazy, huh? Roblox felt bad, and after some time of fixing and updating their internal servers, the egg drop opened again from July 21st to the 26th. Eggs rained down in every game just like before, however, you were limited to how many eggs you could collect in each game. You could only collect 3 eggs, which got changed to 6 during the July release. If you had Builders Club, you got an egg basket item, which allowed you to get any amount of eggs in a single game, rather than being limited. Eggs have gimmicks just like in the previous event, like teleporting eggs, eggs that would shoot you into the air or splat on your screen, eggs that would only spawn in games with a daytime skybox, and the introduction of Fabergé eggs, which were very rare and would only spawn in a server which was completely filled only once. With 23 eggs to collect, there was a huge variety, and the Fabergé really made a desire to find these super rare eggs. This was my first egg drop experience, and I loved it. Playing games and trying to find all these hidden eggs was so much fun, and I'm glad that I got to experience what was sadly the last ever egg drop. 2012 would mark the start of a new era for egg hunts. Besides now becoming an annual thing, egg hunts were dedicated to a single game rather than site-wide. After the server issues from 2010, I can't really blame Roblox for that. It was still a pretty small site that needed to update their servers. Egg Hunt 2012 did break a record, with the most players on a single game at one time being over 9,300 players. It's kinda crazy that now you can see hundreds of thousands of players on a single game, but back 12 years ago, 9,300 was huge. This year's event ran from April 6th to the 17th. This egg hunt caused some controversy. As I said before, there was a dedicated game to play on, rather than happening site-wide. This did make hunting eggs somewhat easier though, as you didn't need to wait for certain times. With a dedicated game, eggs were much easier to obtain, even though there were only 25 eggs. The eggs all had gimmicks like previous years, like an egg found only in dawn or dusk, eggs that spawned from meteors or pterodactyls, eggs that required codes, or eggs that spawned only after 3 in-game days had passed. There was also an extra egg which was only found in the Three Stooges sponsor event game called the Stooge Egg. This year also introduced another rare type of egg alongside the ultra-rare Fabergé eggs I mentioned before, sugar eggs, which are decorated like classic Roblox games, Chaos Canyon, Sword Fight on the Heights, and Crossroads. This egg hunt started what would become the norm for egg hunts in the future. 2013 was another milestone for egg hunts. Running from March 26th until April 4th, it was now the contender for most players at once, reaching over 20,000 players on one game. This year introduced quest-based eggs, such as fighting a boss, eggs that would throw instant kill kunai at players, and wizard eggs that would shoot lightning at you, and having to feed an egg spam until it allowed you to take it, alongside a ton of others. With 34 eggs total, and some even being obtained from doing tasks on Roblox Studio or going around and clicking random parts of the site, this was peak for egg hunts. The Fabergé eggs were brought back as well, however there were no more sugar eggs, which were introduced last year. Some eggs even turned into gifts and gave players items after the event had ended, probably the most popular being the Sorcus stool from the Sorcus egg and Scaly the dragon from the Egg of Scales. Like I said, this was peak. It was a fun, straightforward egg hunt, but with aspects players never expected, such as boss battles that I mentioned, or even the ones hidden around the site and in studio. This is the egg hunt I remember the most, just from how fun yet challenging it was to obtain these eggs, and it was an amazing event, and I'm glad that I got to experience it. 2014 was a huge event from the success of the previous year, lasting from April 11th to the 23rd, this time with 34 eggs defined across 6 different games. This egg hunt was the first with a linear story. Lucky Lapin is a rabbit who collects rare eggs, but he was kidnapped by a rabid rabbit, his evil counterpart from another universe, who stole all his eggs and tried to escape back into his eggverse. However, his teleporter malfunctioned and teleported all the eggs across the eggverse. Thus, it's up to you, the player, to travel across the eggverse, collect the eggs, and defeat Rabid Rabbit. The games all use the newly introduced terrain feature on Roblox, which if you watched my Happy Home video, you know my thoughts on that. It was basically a dumbed down way of creating landscapes, which I personally think look awful cheap and painted on. The games are all based off time periods: Neolithic, Medieval, Present, Uncertain Future, and Forsaken Future. There was also an April Fool's game which allowed you to get the April Fool's egg, but that's it. Each of the 5 main games had different eggs that appeared in them, ranging from super easy to find eggs to rare Fabergés. These eggs all had gimmicks such as standing on pressure plates to open a cave, eggs that needed to be hit with a mace or jumped on, eggs that run away from you, and eggs obtained from killing its minions. There were also 2 eggs you could get by clicking ads that appeared throughout the site. This egg hunt definitely had some whimsical feeling to it, being the mystical time travel event. 2015's hunt, which ran from March 23rd until April 5th, also sets a new norm for Roblox egg hunts in the future by having the games in which eggs appear be 3 games from Roblox devs: Super Bomb Survival, Ripple Minigames, and Twisted Murderer. There were 22 eggs to collect in total, each game having 5 exclusive eggs and 6 eggs that would appear in all of the mentioned games. The eggs had to do with their respective games, such as in Super Bomb Survival, 1 egg spawned when a nuke went off. In Ripple Minigames, you had to climb to the top of a tree to get one, and in Twisted Murderer, you had to win a round of Murder Madness to get one. This method of having fan games for the hunt did cause some controversy. By having 3 separate Roblox games, it made people feel that they had to play the game a lot, or grind on games they didn't care about, or game jump back and forth. I do like how they involved the capturing of eggs with their respective games. It's creative, but I prefer the older method from the years prior. While 2016 only had 1 game for the egg hunt, it was another one made by fans, not admins. This egg hunt ran from March 22nd to April 4th. Throughout the map, you had to explore several locations to find 26 eggs, 3 of which were only acquired from glitches due to the nesting eggs, which you could only get once, but in a single color. You had to choose between red, yellow, or purple, and could not get the other colors without this glitch, which was patched. This game brought back having to do quests to find eggs, which I personally love the idea of. Having to collect different items or go to different locations in a certain order, it adds more variety and challenging aspects rather than playing mini-games or whatnot like last year's. 2017's hunt was another sponsored event like 2012 was, this year being sponsored by McDonald's Happy Meal. Sadly, there was no special sponsor item like we had with the Stooge Egg in 2012. This year's event ran from April 4th until the 24th. This game was made by the elite builders of ROBLOX, some of the most prominent and famous designers on the site. Travel across 9 realms to collect different eggs, each with its own special eggs to find. There were 43 eggs to collect, making this the largest egg hunt yet. This year wasn't anything spectacular, but it is a favorite among many people due to its variety of realms and egg challenges. And let's face it, the map looks pretty nice. 2018's egg hunt lasted from March 28th until April 20th, made this year by the group f.e.a.r, another group of highly dedicated builders on the site, however not as prominent as the elite builders are. 2018, called The Great Yoke Tales, was an Alice in Wonderland-inspired egg hunt, traveling around mystic worlds with different realms to find 48 eggs, topping last year's count by a bit. This year also brought back the Sugar Eggs, which we haven't seen since 2012, this time dedicated to the Roblox Toys Series 5 via a code from a figure, and a Sugar Egg dedicated to the 2013 Egg Hunt. That's kind of fun. With the 13 realms to explore, you could complete challenges to obtain 45 eggs, 3 of which had to be obtained by special means, such as the one from a toy code that I mentioned before with the Sugar Eggs. 2019 Scrambled in Time went from April 18th until May 13th, lasting quite a long time. Actually is the group which made this game, consisting of around 200 Roblox devs prominent on the site. This year had a sponsor as well, Avengers Endgame, and as such, there were eggs which referenced characters from the movie. You could also obtain other characters for your character, which were references to Marvel characters that aren't egg related. There were 58 eggs available across multiple Roblox games, taking us back to the 2015 event by bringing in other games on the site to find special eggs in. There's 42 different games which had a part in this event, so I'll just show them all on screen here since there's a lot I'd have to name out. This got the egg hunt a lot of controversy though, since you need to go through so many different games just to find an egg hat. It was a bit of a pain, and many people didn't like it. 2015 had enough controversy with 3 games, but now 42? That's a lot. Since there were so many games and so many different devs involved as well, it led to some eggs being very buggy and often unobtainable due to them breaking. There was a ton of criticism for this year, so much that I'll just let you read it yourselves if you want to know more than what I mentioned. And now we get to 2020, the last egg hunt to date, lasting from April 7th to the 28th. Roblox clearly didn't learn their lesson from last year's criticism, because now we have 49 different games with 53 eggs to collect, practically 1 per game. I don't really need to say that the criticism here was far higher than last year's because of the chaos of so many games, which required players to play for a long period of time to obtain their egg, which caused a lot of anger among players on this short time crunch. There was also no main hub portal to be able to easily join these different games like every single year prior. Rather, the player just had to join them from the game's page itself, meaning that there was a lot of confusion on which games are officially part of the event and which weren't. And some games that weren't mobile compatible even gave mobile users the eggs for free, while PC and console users had to slave away to get these eggs. And of course, so many saw this as unfair. The list of criticism on this is even bigger than 2019, so I'll just let you all review it yourself if you really want to know the nitty-gritty of it all. So which egg hunt was your favorite? I think mine's probably 2012, just because it is so nostalgic. There was so much to do in it. But what's your favorite? What Roblox events should I cover in a future video? I want to go on and look at each of these individually, full-on videos about each individual egg hunt. What do you think? You think that would be interesting? Let me know down below, and thank you all for watching today's video.